Hello, everyone, and welcome to NIC's first-time attendee webinar. We're going to give it maybe another 30 seconds or so to allow a couple of additional folks to funnel in over here. Let me do a quick countdown from 30 down to 0 in my head, at least, and then we'll get started. Okay, that was a fast 30. So welcome again to NIC's NIC 22 Fall Conference First-Time Attendee webinar. Very excited to have you here as first-time attendees. If you could advance to the next slide, please. Before we get started, I would like to thank our sponsors, Nixon Peabody, for sponsoring the first-time attendee webinar. It really is through sponsorships like Nixon Peabody's that NIC is allowed to do what it is that we do. Next slide, please. My name is Brian Juretka. I'm president and CEO of NIC, and certainly very excited to have you here. Next slide, please. NIC, we're a 501c3 not-for-profit. Our mission is to enable access and choice for Americans in seniors housing and care. And so the way in which we do that is we provide data, analytics, and connection. We work with an organization, an affiliate that we work with is NIC Map Vision. That provides what I would say is the industry-leading data in the seniors housing space. We provide analytics as we use that information and provide insights into the space, and then provide connections, which is really a platform to connect primarily capital seekers and capital providers in the seniors housing space. And the events are one example of the means by which we do that. I will say that really it's through these events, we have no members. It's really through attendance at these events that NIC is able to really provide, let's say the revenue upon which that allows us to deliver on our mission. So thank you very much for allowing us to do that. So before we get started, what I'd like to do is go ahead and introduce our two moderators, or I should say our two speakers for the first-time attendee webinar. First is Morgan Morris. So Morgan's a senior banker at KeyBank's Seattle office. And she focuses on debt placement for seniors housing and skilled nursing in the West. She has over $3 billion in debt placement. And Morgan specializes really in creative debt solutions with a focus on understanding the operations and long-term strategic plans of her clients. Morgan's also a former chair of NIC's Future Leader Council. And then Fritz Kiekefer. Fritz is managing director at the healthcare group of CIBC Bank USA. Fritz is responsible for managing new and existing relationships and providing financing to operators, owners, and developers of seniors housing and skilled nursing facilities nationwide. Fritz is actively involved in the senior housing industry and is also an active member of NIC's Future Leaders Council. So with that in mind, let me go ahead and turn it over to Fritz and Morgan.
Thank you, Brian. It is a pleasure to be here today and wonderful to virtually meet all of you. I remember I started going to NIC back in 2008. I'm not sure if we even had smartphones back then, but the conference still had the same impact. You're meeting hundreds of people, thousands of people really from your industry. And it's a huge, meaningful time spent on your business. So whether you are a capital provider or an operator, you will have some very meaningful takeaways from these couple of days.
Yeah, I agree. My name is Fritz Kiekefer. Brian said CIBC on the lending side. I joined my first NIC conference in 2013, and I think I've only missed one since then. And obviously feel very appreciative of the industry and the organization, and have kind of tried to give back through my contributions through the Future Leader Council that NIC offers. So we're very excited to have you guys today. Excited you guys are joining for your first time conference. And I think we'll get this kicked off. So Morgan and I are going to kind of go through a lot of ideas and tips and strategies for what it takes and how to prepare for the NIC conference. Every conference can be a little overwhelming when you're getting there. So we're hoping we can kind of put you at ease, give you some ideas, some thoughts, and some things to do to prepare, and just get you in the right mindset for when you do attend this one in DC. So we're going to give you, like this slide says, we're going to prepare, we're going to navigate, and then we're going to kind of give you some ideas for after. So with the next slide, one of the key things we want to be helpful to you. So as you have questions through this presentation, feel free to put them in the forum or in the, I'm not sure how it works, but type your questions. We're going to be monitoring them, and as they come up, if we can address them, we will, or we'll wait to the end. I think Brian and Becky will be helping with that as we go. So feel free to put your questions in there. We'd be happy to answer them. Happy to, make you guys feel as comfortable and as at home as you prepare for the conference as we can. So next slide.
Great, thanks, Fritz. So this conference is really like any other. I don't know if you have friends or colleagues that have spoken to you about this yet, but it's a lot of people and a lot of information crammed into a short period of time. It's unlike any other. It's extremely overwhelming and crazy and exciting all at the same time. The atmosphere is extremely professional and very business focused. So a lot of folks will be running around from 30-minute meeting to 30-minute meeting and grab a session here. And, you're talking to folks at these sessions and at these meetings that are C-suite professionals. You've got over 2,000 people who will be here, all focused on seniors housing and skilled nursing in some capacity. So, definitely we want you to make the most of your time here by scheduling some stuff in advance, and Fritz and I will give you some tips later on kind of managing your time. But with a little bit of planning, this conference can be extremely meaningful to you. The decision makers are there, and it's a great way to make contacts with folks. As Brian mentioned, this is about connectivity and education. So through the content of the sessions and through the meetings that you'll have and through the folks that you'll bump into, you'll have some meaningful takeaways to promote your business in the future. I think Fritz can walk through some of the educational sessions here, but I hope that you guys all take some time to allocate to both meetings and connections as well as getting some educational content.
Exactly. I think, the conference is two-pronged, and I think they do a great job in helping, focus on both. Obviously the network and getting deals done and trying to find business partners is great to have so many people in one set location, all focused on the same industry. And then what I find very valuable too is, you get a lot of those speakers and a lot of the people at the event to speak at these sessions. So at this NIC in DC, there's gonna be 10 sessions. All focused that our planning committee has been focusing on for probably a year or more, trying to highlight a lot of the topics and a lot of things that we believe and the NIC believes are top of mind for a lot of people in the industry. So I think they're very valuable. If you can, as you're networking and as you're organizing your calendar, look at the website, go to the website. It should give a general high level of when these sessions are. You can use that to kind of guide and look at what the sessions are, which ones you think would be very valuable. They spend a lot of time on it. I think the sessions are in the main stage ballroom. So as you look at the map, as you prepare for the conference, use that kind of as a framework. And also I think the sessions, as you attend the sessions, can also help leverage, as you're at the conference, there's gonna be a lot of people. You may or may not know people, but as you sit in sessions, you can sit to the person next to them and start having a conversation after the session and use that also as a networking opportunity. So I think here's a couple of the topics. I don't know, Morgan, if you wanted to highlight a couple of these sessions.
Absolutely. Yeah. And as Fritz mentioned, it's a great way to network with folks around you, make a friend. The style is not just, set up chairs, it's lounge style. You can connect with somebody, have a meeting, after, maybe go a few minutes early and connect. It's designed to bring together the educational content and the connectivity as well. So yeah, we've got the sessions laid out here. I can share, a little behind the scenes from having worked on a few sessions in the past, that a lot of thought and preparation goes into curating the content here. You'll be hearing from the industry experts, folks who live and breathe this and have been in the industry a long time. Personally for me, given all the fluctuation in the debt markets, I'm really interested in the valuation and capital stack sessions we've got here, as well as the industry CEO panel. I think will be really fascinating. And then I always really enjoy the macroeconomic trends panel. We've got some folks that are really industry leaders in terms of thought process and content. So I hope that you have a few minutes to carve out for attending a few of these sessions. The day will get hectic. So, we'll walk through again time management here, but I definitely would encourage you to circle some now and make sure your calendar's blocked off, because the day will fly by, and it's important to build these into your calendar.
Yeah.
Next slide.
And and I think Mark, you mentioned it briefly, but if you go to the session and you have to go for half of it and leave, it's lounge style, so you can do that. I mean, you don't have to stay for the whole session. Or if you're finding that you got what you needed and you're ready to move on to the next meeting or something like that, it's easy to go in and out of the sessions, which I think helps, because obviously you get pulled into meetings or you need to make a meeting. They try and make it amenable to the hectic schedules that everybody has. So
absolutely. And I think the past couple of years they've evolved in recognizing there's so many folks who are attending meetings, and if you have to leave or if you're planning on joining a little late, they do have screens outside that you could view, watch a few minutes of a session if you don't want to come in and out of the room. They have little networking, or I say screened areas outside that show the live content inside of the conference session as well. So there's several different ways that you can take in the information, whether it's 10 minutes of a bite size, or if you have time for the full hour session. There's different ways to get the content.
Right. So then next, when you obviously register for the event, and you're going to get there, you're going to get a lanyard with your name on it, and it's going to have a color on it. And don't lose this. I've lost it. It's expensive to replace it. Obviously they want to kind of manage each person to make sure that they have the right people at the conference, and it's your ticket to the conference. So it's very important to keep that and wear it at all times. And then one of the other benefits of the lanyard and of that is it shows your name very big, shows who your company is very largely. And then they color code the lanyards, which I think is very helpful. So if you're an operator and you need some debt, talk to me, right? I'll have a green lanyard on. Don't talk to Morgan. No, I'm just kidding. But it's very helpful because, as you go to the conference, as you figure out your agenda and what you want to go there for, right? If you're an operator, you want to talk to other operators and get some industry insight, you're going to target people with red lanyards. If you're a developer and you need to talk to somebody on insurance, right? You're going to talk to somebody with a black lanyard, right? It gives you it's a very distinct, very easy way to kind of see who and what section of the industry each person is in, which will help you navigate who you want to talk to and how you talk to people, and help you prepare with questions as you approach them in many of the sessions or in the networking events. So it's very important and I think it's a really neat idea, because it definitely helps you strategize how you talk to people throughout the event, and also gives you kind of a color or an idea of who these people are and what segment they're in. So
absolutely. Yeah, if you are a red lanyard, you'll be a little more popular than the green debt lanyards. But it's a great way to kind of figure out who you want to talk to and strategize, which leads us into kind of our next topic here on leveraging your opportunities. We want this to be a impactful couple of days for everyone. And again, as we've mentioned, the first time it can be overwhelming. There's a lot of people running around, a lot of people hugging and seem like they've known each other forever. Some of us have, and you'll be there too. But they have curated special sessions and meetup times for first-time attendees. My first conference, this was not available, and I wish it had been, because it would be great to just connect with a few other folks. This is their first time, kind of make a friend to start your time here. Outside of the meetings and the kind of formal sessions, these networking times are allocated for you to get together with folks that are there for the first time, meet people directly from NIC. Fritz and I probably will attend a few of these as well, just to get to know some new folks. But there is one scheduled for Wednesday when you first arrive to kind of make some connections, and then again on Thursday and Friday morning before all of the content kicks off. So those are designated for just first-time attendees, but there's also the broader networking lounges that are open, the whole day. These are designed for impromptu meetings, whether you've met someone in a session and you want to continue your conversation in another place or another time, or you can just sit and grab a coffee and chat with somebody sitting next to you, or if you need to pull away and do an email or something, there's spaces for that as well. So definitely want to make sure that you take advantage of getting together with some of the other folks who are here for the first time, sharing some business cards, sharing a conversation, using each other as a first-time attendee crutch to have a friend as you move into the week.
Yeah, I'd echo those thoughts 100%. And I also think, attending these first couple sessions, or the new attendee sessions, you're going to see some familiar faces or get to know people. And I mean, there's going to be the conference. There's a lot of people. I mean, over 2,000 people, and it's an open space. But I mean, there's definitely a high traffic spaces, and to see some familiar faces and to have that connection is going to help alleviate some of the initial awkwardness of kind of being, a single fish in a big ocean. So it's definitely very helpful. And, just having a couple faces and having a couple names just really, puts you at ease. I mean, listen, you're at a huge conference, 2,000 people. There's going to be awkward moments. You might not know anybody, but at least having some familiar faces, I think, really helped me when I went and helped alleviate some of the awkwardness.
Absolutely. And one of the cool things too, I mean, some people, I mean, as a banker, I can share that, I still have family members who will call me up for car loans or something, so it feels wonderful to be surrounded by people who know what you do for a living, who know what industry you're in, who can speak the language and be in the weeds with you on, Medicaid rates and, disruption and cap rates and everything that we're seeing. It is just so comforting and meaningful to connect with folks that are in the same industry. So I hope that you'll take advantage of a few of these opportunities to connect with some folks. Next slide.
So yeah, as you're at the conference, there's networking, there's the sessions, and there's some other amenities, which I think are great. Obviously some of them are fairly standard, but some of them are a little unique. One thing I really take advantage of every year, they have a headshot lounge, which allows you to get your headshot and allows you to use that, as you're networking, as you're talking to people, and helps you refresh. I think I didn't have an updated headshot for a long time, and I couldn't recognize myself anymore. So that's really helpful. We've got the LinkedIn corner, which is a really popular spot to kind of help boost your LinkedIn and help you get engaged. There's a variety of these apps on here. So take advantage of these when you have some downtime or when you're looking for something to do. Obviously the coffee bar is a hot spot and always a great spot to go and see a lot of people in the high network or a high traffic area, which is helpful. And then Brian and Becky, they've revamped the conference app, which I think is a really neat tool. And I'm gonna let Morgan give a little more color there, but that, after this, or if you haven't already, I would highly recommend downloading the app and using that as you prepare for the conference. But Morgan's gonna give you some more detail there and how it works and how you can make the best use of it.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, if you look here on the screen, there's a QR code. This actually is a live QR code. If you I would recommend just take 2 minutes right now, pull up your camera phone on your app, or if you have a QR app, scan the code below, just like you do at a restaurant nowadays, it feels like, for a menu. Pull up the NIC app and just go ahead and download it. Without it, you will probably be a little lost. This has everything you need to know. It has maps on it. It has the full conference schedule every day. You can go ahead and add things to your own personal calendar. But for me, the most important part of downloading this app is connecting to the attendee list. So you can download the folks that are going to be there. You can sort by their profession. You can sort by their location. You can just find a person directly. It's a very, very meaningful spot to kind of start your planning for the entire session. So again, I can't recommend it enough. Download it now, start kind of clicking around, get familiar with it. One nice thing too, you can add information to your own personal profile. So if you want to add a picture so that when you meet somebody for the first time, maybe you already know what they look like. When you say meet me at the coffee bar, you've got a little idea there. You can add a location where you're headquartered. You can customize this as much as you want so that when people filter through, they could find you a little easier. But again, this will be a one-stop shop for everything you're going to need on site. But I highly recommend doing it in advance just so you're familiar with kind of how the calendar lays out, where things are on site, and just start your planning there. So it takes just 2 quick minutes. You can download it on your phone here, or if you want, you can go to networking.nic.org for the desktop version of the app if you don't want to do it on your smartphone. Both work, and is a great way to get your content started. And I'll have you come to the next slide as well here, because this one gets a little bit more in the weeds, but it shows you a little bit here on the filters. You can pull up everything that's going on a certain day. You can see when things are open. I remember a couple of years ago, I really needed a new headshot. Mine was pretty old. And I missed the headshot lounge by like 30 minutes. So I had to, look on the app and see when they were going to be open the next morning. Make sure my hair looked good and everything when I went in for my headshot the next morning. So great way to see what times things are open. But the nice thing about this for first-time attendees is you can filter by first-time attendee tracks. If you are here for the boot camp and you're a first-time attendee, you can filter through those and make sure those things are all on your calendar. You can filter through the general sessions and have those kind of put on your calendar as well. So again, I highly recommend filling this out, downloading this and starting to kind of populate your calendar and just getting familiar with what's going on. It'll really take some of the pressure off when you get there and there's 1,000 people walking around you. So again, QR code up there, download it, and you'll be ready to go when you get to Washington, D.C.
There you have it. Step number 1, download the app. So
sorry to steal your thunder there.
No, it's perfect. No, I mean, here's kind of just some high level ideas and things to do as you prepare. Once again, I mean, there's going to be a lot going on when you arrive. There's going to be a lot to manage and deal with. And also you're going to be, thinking on your feet a lot at the conference, but if you can prepare and do a lot ahead of time, it's very helpful. Download the app, look at the session schedule, like we said, schedule meetings in advance. I mean, full disclosure, a lot of people, myself included, we get stuck in these 30-minute windows of meetings. Every 30 minutes, you have a meeting and a meeting and a meeting. And people try and fit you in, and everybody's very open to trying to meet. Full disclosure, I think I get canceled on at least once or twice a conference, maybe more, or pushed or just adjusted. So you're going to have to live a little, leave some flexibility in your schedule as you're there, because especially if you have some certain people you want to meet, because, especially people who are very sought after a meeting, their schedules get really, really packed. So if you can get on their calendar, great, but don't be offended if you do get pushed or shuffled, because it's the nature of the conference. Most people try and stick to it, but it does happen where meetings go long or things just get adjusted. So, and watch your time zones when you're doing the calendar invites. If you're doing it, I definitely have double booked myself a couple times, which has thrown me off. And then, I'm the one canceling other people. So,
absolutely happens.
Yeah.
It's really smart. As Fritz mentioned, it's a lot of folks, we're doing it now, reaching out to clients and colleagues that we know they're going to be there and setting up a happy hour time to meet or coffee time to meet or come to our, suite and meet. There are a few groups that have dedicated meeting space that they've booked. So I think that's a really, really good piece of information for folks attending the first time. There are a number of impromptu meetings, but there are quite a few meetings that people have booked in advance. So if you're interested or there are a few folks you really want to target to meet with, I highly recommend scheduling something in advance, working through your app, finding their contact information, connecting with them, and asking if you could, set up a meeting. And they might only have 30 minutes here or there because things are starting to book up. But again, if there's someone you really want to meet with, I'd try to get it on your calendar in advance. And if there's a session you really want to go to, book that out in your calendar in advance, because once you get on site, things will pick up pace. And, as Rich mentioned, you might be rescheduling another meeting. And the pace is very fast and, very business focused. Folks want to make the most out of their 48 hours on the ground or 72 hours on the ground. These folks are decision makers and they've got busy lives. So this is a very, very meaningful time of, a couple times a year that we are all able to get together. So definitely, connect with folks in advance if you can. And again, as Fritz mentioned, be flexible, try to make a friend, sitting next to you at a session. If you bump into someone with a lanyard that you're interested in chatting to, make sure you bring 100 business cards. We still are for old school and shuffling the paper around. So, there's a lot of card connection at NIC as well. So a lot of opportunity to meet folks. I don't know, Fritz, if you have any other advice, but it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, it is like the most impactful and exciting couple days of the year for us.
Yeah, no, it's great. I enjoy it. I mean, it's fun. I mean, you have this group of people, all focused on the same industry, the same thing. And as you go to more and more conferences, you become friends with them, you've done deals with them, you just know more and more people. So the first one obviously is it's a snowball effect. And I can't highlight more just telling people you're going, especially people in the industry, because the conference ends at 6 or 6:30. There's a little happy hour, and then there's after events, and people are doing things after. I mean, a lot of people will host events or do things in the evening too, which are also great networking opportunities as well. So the more people you tell, the more opportunity you have to get invited to events. So I mean, a lot of the brokers, the real estate, the debt brokers and the real estate brokers, they're typically putting on events or hosting things in the evenings, or grab some friends, even if some people at the first time, sessions, schedule a dinner, those tend to book pretty fast, but book a reservation for 4 people at a dinner, just yourself, and just have that, and you can maybe invite 2 or 3 people to dinner that night. It's an opportunity. When are you really going to get an hour alone with some of these people? And at this conference, everybody's willing to meet, everybody's willing to open up, and they really, it's a very open and honest way to meet people, and people are willing to take the time at this conference, which, then you get back in the normal swing of things in the work schedule, and you don't get that, you lose some of that time. So it's a great opportunity just, during the conference and also into the evening. It's great opportunities, and there's always stuff going on, and you'll hear about a lot of that stuff at the event, and, rumors fly, and, it happens, but, the more people, the more opportunities there'll be to get to go to some more events, which are great too, and another good way to kind of meet people.
Absolutely. Which kind of brings us into kind of our final comment here is maintain your momentum. It's, as Fritz mentioned, all of a sudden you'll be on the airplane home, or driving home, or train home, or however you're getting home. And you have all these thoughts through your head, hopefully some excitement and some pep in your step about, the future of our industry, and the momentum that this group of folks have, and the passion for the space and for aging seniors. And don't let that momentum die on the plane. Make some notes, follow up with some folks on Monday, send a few thank you emails, for meetings. Just maintain those connections. I think LinkedIn is a great way to do this. You could, on the plane home, just pop up your email and friend a few folks on LinkedIn. But really use this time at the conference to plan out, your post-conference momentum. Following the event, you can also access recordings of sessions and events that you missed, which I, as a person who gets stuck in kind of these back-to-back meetings, I often am unable to attend all of the sessions I'd like to. So, going back and watching the sessions at a later time is wonderful, and really allows you to take advantage of both the meeting time on site and as the content later. So the other thing that's nice too is that, if you didn't get a chance to meet up with someone that you wanted to, you can download the attendee list and reach out to folks later too. So there's a lot of ways to stay social post NIC and take advantage of all of the momentum that you've started while you're in DC. We have time for a few questions, Brian.
Excellent. Yes. Well, so I'm looking at the questions over here, and I think you've answered many of them. One of the questions we had was, when will folks get a list of attendees? And I think, as was noted earlier, you can access that list of attendees in the app. And the app, if you go to, whether it's Google or Android or Apple, if you just search for NIC events, you can download the app. You can also go to networking.nic.org and go ahead and look at the web version of the app. And I think one of the important piece, and I'm sorry, so the download is available via the desktop only. And so that's networking.nic.org, where you can download a list of the attendees. But in both of those, you kind of see all the attendees, and would really encourage you to go through one of the neat, I think, pieces of functionality of the new app that we have is the ability to kind of raise your hand and show interest in other attendees. And if other attendees also show interest, then you can start kind of a conversation. So that's a great feature we have in the app. One of the other questions, would love to get your thoughts on this, was really around reaching out cold to someone for a meeting. What are your best tips on how to get that meeting when you're reaching out cold and you don't know the person, but you want that meeting? How do you best get a response from them? What are your thoughts?
Well, first, it happens all the time. This is not unusual in any capacity. I get emails, texts, from the NIC connection. I would say candidly, I probably send more than I receive being a debt provider. But yeah, it's first of all, I will just comment that it's not unusual. That's the whole reason for downloading this and making connections. You might already have someone's email address. That's a warm connection. The whole point of downloading the attendee list is to make those connections, and to take advantage of the fact that you have a shared interest in attending the NIC. So the one thing I would add in terms of, bettering your chance of success is adding a little bit of content, maybe discussing what your role is, what you're looking to make the connection for, whether it's something very specific, like I'm looking for debt on a property in Alaska, and we have some investors, but we're not, we need some help on the financing piece. That's very specific, and I can definitely help with that conversation. If instead of just, hey, you want to make a connection, it's not, it's a little bit tougher to spend time on that type of cold call. So I would just add some content, even if it's just, hey, I'm new to the industry, and I'm looking to expand my business connections. Can we have a 15-minute coffee break or something? I'm sure Fritz would agree with this when I give him a chance to speak, but we're always people at this conference are very friendly and very interested in making that connection. So I would say reach out and follow up and give them some context, and I'm sure you'll get a connection, even if it's not a meeting on site, but a connection in the future.
Yeah, I'd echo those thoughts 100%. And also tailoring it to be specific, and, as opposed to the, you do get the blanket, that's very just generic, that, people blast to everybody. But if you can tailor it specifically, like to people that you really are focused on, it shows that you've done your homework.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I read in the NIC Insider that you did this and this deal in Arizona last year. I've got another deal in Arizona that's very similar. I'd really love to chat with you. You're going to get a response. I just think, or you'll get, hey, you're going to get an answer, whether it's they're willing to meet or maybe, they can't, but it just, I think that changes the dynamic drastically when there's a personal touch to it, and you've shown that you've done your homework. You're going to get more hits and more successes that way, in my opinion. I'm much more inclined to do that if I can say, hey, they've really thought this through. They've really, or just, somebody's, okay, hey, I've got a development. I need some debt. Can you help? It's going to change the dynamic. I'd probably still talk to them, but that's just me. But you get the point. I mean, it just, if you can kind of tailor it and be as specific as you can. And also, I think if there are some specific people and you have reached out to me, they didn't get a response or anything. I mean, if you see them, feel free to just go up to them and introduce yourself. I also think having some topics or some ideas in the back of your head at the conference, so as you see people are having some questions that you think are pertinent or you'd like to get answers to, having those in the back of your head. So as you do talk to people, hey, I see you're an operator. I'd love to get your take on, I'll use the big term, right? Agency expenses, or something of those sorts. Like, maybe not as generic and high level as that, but, you use kind of your industry knowledge to kind of tailor some questions to help spark conversations with people at the event, even, or specifically in reaching out to people on the app or in email. So those are my thoughts.
So here's a question that's kind of a take on, it's let's say a slight take on the original question, which was, any advice for setting meetings with investors or owners who are looking for operators? So it's in the similar vein, right? Which is, if you're looking to get meetings with investor owners who are looking for operators. Any thoughts there?
I mean, I think in general, owners, private equity firms, ownership groups, family offices are always very interested in expanding their network of operators, whether or not they're actively searching for a project. Generally speaking, that type of connection is pretty valuable. So I would reach out, if you don't have their email address, reach out, via the NIC app, and just give them a little bit of high-level information about your operational company, and ask for a meeting. Again, I think those type of connections are pretty valuable. And I wouldn't stop at just one person. Usually groups, I mean, KeyBank sends like 40 people or something. So if you're not getting a response from one person, feel free to reach out to somebody else from the organization. You know, there are a lot of groups that attend NIC in mass. So, you know, I definitely think it would be worth your time and energy to reach out to a number of folks. Again, you can kind of filter through on the app to see who would be a good connection for you, and reach out directly. I mean, that kind of connection is exactly why people are going to the NIC in the first place.
Yeah. And I think being direct too is helpful. So, I mean, have your elevator pitch, and, you know, if you do get a chance to meet with them, you know, be prepared for, you know, 10-minute meeting, and just be very, very open, very honest, and have some key statistics and key information. I mean, you're going to have, especially if they're very sought after people, you're going to have maybe 10-15 minutes, and you want to maximize that. So have your script ready, have your stats ready, have your elevator pitch ready. I mean, be prepared to, you're probably going to say it a lot over the, you know, 72 hours, which, you get to refine it over 72 hours, but it'll become rote in your mind. But you have it ready and have it quick, because, you know, a lot of people are moving, or, you know, especially if you're in the open meeting areas, and, you know, people get distracted and see somebody they know, and then the meeting gets interrupted. So just try and be, kind of short and sweet when you can. And then, or set up, if you really want to dive into the details, be like, you know, can I give you a call next week on, you know, or set something up as a later time to really get in the weeds. But at least you caught their interest and caught their attention to set up the next meeting.
That's a great point. There are specifically designed spaces for a impromptu meeting. You've got 10 minutes. Let's exchange cards, quick discussion on, you know, kind of what our business practice is, and then set up a time later to connect. That's a perfect use of your time at the NIC.
I've seen a lot of those elevator pitches, and I've even seen escalator pitches. So it's helpful.
Is that a shorter or longer period of time?
Yeah. I feel like it depends which escalator.
That's true.
But that usually end with a business card at the end, like, hey, here's my card. You know, let's follow up. So I think it makes a lot of sense, and I have run into many people that have run out of business cards at the meeting as well. So that's also very good advice. We also have a question here around, you know, kind of getting a copy of the slide deck. So actually this entire session is recorded. It'll be available at fallconference.nic.org/resources. It'll be available on demand. So would certainly encourage you, if there's anything here that you heard that you want to listen to again, would encourage you to visit that. Or if you have other first-time attendees that were not able to make today's meeting, they could watch this, and they might even be able to speed it up to 1.5 times speed to be very efficient with their time as they go through everything. So I think from a question perspective, I don't know that we have anything else. And so what I would like to do, if you could please go to the next slide, is as we wrap this up, I do want to thank our board of directors, whom you can see here. You know, certainly our board of directors provides strategic guidance to NIC, invests a lot of time, energy, and effort in the organization as a whole. It is truly, you know, one portion of a large, I would say, group of volunteer leaders to really allow NIC to do what it does. If you go to the next slide, please. I also want to thank our Fall Conference Planning Committee. The Fall Conference Planning Committee is responsible for so much of the great contents that you will see at the conference itself. And then, of course, next slide, please. If you could also, I'm sorry, one more slide. I want to thank Nixon Peabody, again, our sponsors. You know, for the first-time attendee webinar, you know, we can't do what we do without the support of our sponsors as well as our attendees. And, you know, I have to say, of course, thank you to Morgan and Fritz. I think your experience, your dedication as future NIC Future Leader Council members, and I think, you know, just your overall experience has been terrific. Thank you for sharing that with the first-time attendees here. And thank you for your contributions to NIC. And I want to thank everyone for your time. Any other questions, feel free to follow up. And outside of that, have a wonderful day. And we're looking forward to seeing you at the NIC here on the 14th to 16th of September. Thank you. Bye-bye.